We have really loved our time at First Church. There are lots of people that we will always remember and cherish and love. I remember from the first time that we came to First Church 4 years ago, we were just so moved by the Spirit in the church as people worshiped, and we felt so comfortable and so welcome. And we love how people just hug you when you walk in the door and you know that you belong there. And we will always know that we have a home at First Church. Something that I've really enjoyed over the years is the spring retreat. Every year it seems to be just a really great bonding experience with the young and the old, everybody together. And I remember one year that it was raining and cold, and I think the next year it was muddy, and the third year there were like lightning storms, and the fourth year the weather was perfect. But it was neat how everybody just kind of worked with the weather and had a great time anyway. And I'll always remember Ultimate Frisbee, playing that with everybody together, and finding out that a whole lot of people who you would never have thought would be good at Ultimate Frisbee were really, really good at it. And it was a game that we could all play together and be outside, and those are just memories that I'll always cherish.
I've been very thankful to be able to be the pastor of First Church these many years, and I will cherish the memories for the rest of my life. Some important lessons have been learned, and I think we will always feel at home at First Church, no matter how many years go by. Whenever we come back to visit, First Church is our home church. It's hard to know where to begin when I think about all of the highlights. I agree with what Courtney said. The people are what make First Church special. I love the fact that it's truly a community church. The fact that so many people could literally walk to our doors every Sunday morning and on Mondays and Wednesday nights. Wednesday nights, although sometimes a little chaotic and difficult, really have been one of the highlights for me. To be able to teach the Bible to people who normally don't sit down and study the Word of God has been deeply refreshing, and it's taught me and encouraged my own faith to be part of that. Of course, Sunday mornings are a tremendous highlight. I just love the fact that everybody is singing at the top of their lungs, and there's something about First Church that when you're singing together, you feel this strong sense of community. You feel the Spirit of God at work. You know there are people there that have been hurting and that have had rotten weeks, and yet they're able to come and sing praises to God anyway, and that's a tremendous testimony. One of the stories that will always stick out in my mind is one day during the middle of the week, I was just working in my office, and I heard somebody come to the door, and I answered it, and it was one of the regular attenders of our church, but she wanted to sit down and pray at the altar in the sanctuary, and we did, and it was obvious God had been working in her life, and she brought a friend with her, and we knelt and prayed there for deliverance from her drug addiction. And she brought her crack pipe with her and laid it down on the altar and said, "I want to surrender this to God. Pastor, would you take this away from me? I don't want to have it anymore." And it was just an amazing story of deliverance that I'll never forget. The funny thing was that just a week later in the food pantry, somebody handed me an envelope, and inside of it was another crack pipe. And she said, "Pastor, I heard that you take people's crack pipes from them." And she wanted that same freedom as well. And that was really special. And I think that illustrates what First Church is all about. We want to be about the whole gospel that liberates people from not only hell and from death, but also from sin, from the present bondage of sin and the addiction that can happen. And that's what First Church is all about. I love how honest and raw people are. There's no pretension. They're just being honest and genuine and transparent. And to me, that's very refreshing to be in a church like that. I think that's when the Spirit of God really moves, is once we are able to overcome our issues and be honest with one another. And I think First Church represents that. But I would just share with First Church, I think the last verse of 1 Corinthians 15 as kind of a theme verse or a final exhortation. And Paul says this, as a result of all of this, and he's speaking about the resurrection, as a result of all of this, my beloved brothers and sisters, you must stand firm, unshakable, excelling in the work of the Lord as always, because you know that your labor isn't going to be for nothing in the Lord. And that's a verse I've turned to several times before when I feel like we're not getting anywhere and we're just spinning our wheels. And I remember that in the Lord's economy, work that may go unnoticed can be very valuable, and even the small things like mustard seeds can grow the kingdom. And First Church is doing that. First Church is a mustard seed that's growing on the Near East Side. The lives that it's touched over the last 100 years probably can't even be counted, and who knows what the Lord has in store for it in the future. So I would say don't judge by outward appearances, and know that God is blessing First Church, even if what it does is on a small scale, even if it's a conversation with somebody who's lonely, or a friendly visit to somebody who's sick, or a bag of groceries to a single mother who can't afford to make ends meet. All of that counts in God's kingdom.
Yeah, and I would just say keep up the good fight. Keep working and doing the things that you're doing. Keep loving the people around you. It's meant a lot to us, and so we know that it will mean a lot to people who are really struggling too. So just keep doing the things that you're doing, and you will see fruit come of it.
And I also just want to say thank you to the church for how supportive you've been, and for the many notes of encouragement and the words of affirmation, the hugs, the smiles, the phone calls. How are you doing today? I feel like one of the most blessed men in the entire world, and First Church has embraced not only me but my whole family. This is what my girls call home, and I know they're going to miss this place as well, but I just give you a thank you from the bottom of my heart for being the kind of church that you are.